What's up, everybody? Alan Deal Jr. here, aka Addict-to-Athlete. Welcome to the Addict-to-Athlete show. It is so good to be back, guys. I'm telling you right now, it's been what's been going on right now. It's just been crazy in the last like month, and I am super blessed and so happy to be here. But I just want to let everybody know. I want to give a few shout outs first of all, and then we're going to talk about some updates, future show, what the show's about, and go from there. But I wanted to start out by telling Bella Luce, thank you so much for helping me out. I mean, check this out, guys. This is no filter, straight up like regular camera from from my MacBook Pro. No fancy camera yet, but they really hooked it up, man. And that's why I don't have to wear hats anymore. It's crazy. Like I always wore hats because I was so self-conscious about my wrinkles. And man, they really hooked it up for me, and I'm going to be doing some more work with them in the future as far as like doing some modeling stuff for them for some stuff. And so I'm really excited, and the opportunities they provided me for that, and the fact that I don't have to worry about the wrinkles anymore. And I'm just super happy with the results that I got from them. In fact, I just did a reel. You can see the before pictures, and I freaking look like a Shar-Pei, man. And that's why I always wear a hat. Okay. So anyway, definitely wanted to give a shout out to them. Also to Rick, my barber, for always putting me on the schedule when I need to get on the schedule, especially before a show. Definitely want to give a shout out to First Form. Okay. Like I said, these guys have always had my back. They've always believed in me. And when I got out of prison less than 5 months ago, they were there. They were right there, and they wanted me to get back on track. And they did. And I've been working really hard training. Really got the discipline in the kitchen right now. I'm telling you, I've got the discipline in the gym. I've been doing a little bit different of a routine lately to just see how my body plays with it. I've been kind of like doing like 2 days on, 2 days off type thing. And I've just been hitting it really hard on those 2 days. And I'm kind of, and mainly I did it that way because I've been going around with my family and stuff. And so, been going out of town on the weekends and chilling with the family. But anyway, just definitely wanted to give a shout out to my family too, for always believing in me and having my back and telling me and helping me through this, situation I've been going through in the last month with the podcast and my management. Obviously I am no longer under the same management anymore. God's the only manager I need, and we parted ways, my management and I, which is, exactly why I didn't have a podcast studio anymore. It was not Ada's fault, and I would just say that out there. She had nothing to do with this other than I didn't want her to be in the middle of the situation. So I removed myself from the situation completely. And I said, if this is something God wants me to do, he's going to find a way for me to do it. And he did. And we'll get to that in a second. But, as far as, I also want to give a shout out to Misty, man. I haven't talked about this much, but that girl, she held it down for me, man, while I was in prison. And she made my car payments every month. And like, I wouldn't have a car right now if it wasn't for her holding it down, and helping me while I was in prison. And so, I don't thank her enough for it. And now I got the opportunity to get I got my car back. I'm able to go these places. I'm able to drive to my daughter's graduation, and I'm able to do stuff like that I haven't been able to do before. So it's really cool. Anyway, just wanted to, I wanted to talk about that, and also the recovery community, man. They've always had my back too. Every time I come back to Kerrville, it's open arms, and I'm really I'm really excited to be a part of the Chill group, which is like sober sports, and we're doing volleyball every Tuesday. We're about to do softball, and we barbecue out there. It's like 60 people in the program that come out, and it's just an amazing time to have some fun, and everybody needs that every once in a while, and But I kind of want to tell you what's been going down, like, um, so many good things have been like happening in my life, and it's almost like to the point where I got some fear around it. But I'll get to that in a second, and it might be a healthy fear, but it's definitely some fear. But yeah, as far as parting ways, with the other studio and my management, I'm not here to talk bad about anybody, but God didn't put me here for that. But let's just say that, he has a way of putting people in your life when you need it. And he also has a way of removing him from your life when it's not, not going well. And that's what happened, man. There were some, motives that were not the motives I thought, and we just had to part ways, and God blessed me with the best month I've ever had as a collision estimator, and I was fortunate enough where I could go purchase my own equipment, and it's been a blessing, and I actually was in the process of signing a lease for an office space, but I just couldn't see myself, putting that much money out there in a commitment, even though I feel like this is something God wants me to do. Um, it was just, I did a lot of prayer around it. I had the opportunity. It was great. It was like right down the street from my work, right down the street from my house. It was a way that, I could, I just didn't have any equipment to get in there, and it's like, I feel like God told me, hey, get the equipment first, and then we'll worry about this, steps at a time. You don't want to get a place and not even have anything to put in it, which, obviously is a smart business move, getting the equipment first. So I was able to get the equipment a couple of weekends ago, and it was, and then the next morning, so now that I got the equipment that night, I'm saying a prayer like, all right, God, I got the equipment. I did it, because of you. And what's next here? What do you want me to do? I got to tell these people about the lease, in the next 2 days? Um, I'm going to put it in your hands and just trust you. Everything that you've done so far has worked out for me. And when I just let go and let you get involved, and so I said a prayer that night, and the next morning, I'm all excited. I wake up early, can't sleep. I pull out my new MacBook Pro and I open it up and I start to log in and set it up and everything. And all of a sudden, one of the guys that I've known in Kerrville, and this is a huge shout out right here. Okay. So one of the guys that I knew when I first got sober, his name's Kurt Sylvie, and he's an amazing man, and he does a lot of good for the community and a lot of good for my house too. He helps a lot of guys in the house too, and he's basically part of the house, even though he doesn't live there. He's like family basically. Well, he shows up on Sunday morning, the next morning, and I'm sitting there on the laptop, and he says, "Hey, man," and I said, "Yeah, what's up?" And he said, "So, you got your equipment, right?" And I was like, "Yep." And he's like, "I saw that post, man. That's awesome." He's like, "So what are you going to do with it?" And I was like, "Well, hopefully I'm going to have a podcast, back going on." And he said, well, I mean, like, where are you going to do it at?" And I said, "That I don't know yet, Kurt." And he said, "Well, how about I just let you do it in my office? I'll give you the office key. You can go there whenever you want. You can set it up however you want." And he's actually starting a new sober home here in Kerrville, and he's bought a new home. He's going to move there, and this is going to be a sober home, and this is an office in the back that's separate from the house. And I came and checked it out, and it's like a little man cave, man. It's awesome, and and so thanks to the FAFO, I got a studio, and God worked it out within less than 12 hours, and it's just been an awesome experience, and it just seeing how trusting God and everything works out like that. So yeah, this has been an awesome opportunity, and I just I'm taking it, I'm just blessed, and I'm feeling like, we're going to have some really awesome guests coming on soon. And now that I got enough room in here, I got some podcast chairs on order. Should be, coming in the next few weeks. And we're going to have that. We're going to have a space back here where, I can do a one-on-one interview with people, bring the guests on. Almost all the guests that I have lined out want to do it in person. So it's like, which is awesome. It's going to be a great experience. I got Jonathan coming on from American Idol, actor, singer, producer. Guy's been, he's come up from the bottom of nothing, man, and made something of himself. And he makes music. He produces music. I mean, he's a writer. I mean, the guy's just a family man, and he's come back from so much. And that's what the show's about, bringing people on. You don't necessarily have to be an addict to be on this show. You just have to have some kind of drive and motivation that you've come back from something. And we will have addicts on here, and we will have athletes on here too. Anybody that can give any kind of insight on motivating people, tips on discipline in the kitchen, which I'm going to do an episode coming up on that, because I have a lot of discipline in the kitchen, and most of the time it's pretty simple now. Sometimes it gets difficult, because I don't really eat a lot of sugar, but I try to keep that discipline, man, every single day, and I've been killing it. I've been eating out a lot though, like almost every day, sometimes 3 times a day. But even when you go eat out, I get like, fish and vegetables or some wild rice or brown rice, some sushi, grilled chicken. So even if I go out to eat, I'm getting something that doesn't mess with my macros, and it gets my macros where I want them, so I'm going to have episodes about that, and how I maintain that and what helps me and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm super excited about what's to come for the show and what God's doing in my life, but like I said, when it comes down to it, I get a little fear, and I'm a human, I make mistakes, and history shows, when things start going good in my life, I get complacent, and it's like, how do I fix that? How do I maintain that? It's like, how do I make sure that I don't get comfortable? Because that's what history shows happens to me. And I could be having the best, most blessed day but if I don't have that connection with God, I'll end up at the liquor store, and then I start hiding it, and then I start lying. And so I'm doing everything I can to prevent that. But like, I was in the car, and I was listening to K-Love on the way to see my daughter. And I was just like, man, dude, the song came on and it like really hit my heart. And I was like, I'm just super blessed right now. I was just in prison, less than 5 months ago, and didn't know I was getting out. And I had nothing. I even lost, basically my health, too, while I was in there. And it was just, it was horrible. And then I'm sitting here, and God's given me everything back and more. And so I'm sitting there, and I've got this overwhelming like sense of peace and joy in my life. And all of a sudden, when the song ended, I got like, this fear came over me, like, oh my God, like I can't lose this. Like, I got to keep, and that's what I said. Maybe it's a healthy fear because, now I'm aware of it, and I'm like, okay, I can't slack in any department, and that's why I'm so dedicated to the gym, because it helps my mental state, but yeah, that's it's just like, it's like the Kurt thing, like the studio showing up like that. That's not Kurt, that's God, man. God did that. God put that on his heart. And now I'm here, and hopefully, this podcast is going to help bring motivation and show people that anybody can come back from obstacles if you got God on your side. Like, all you have to do is turn to him and say, I can't do this on my own anymore. I need you, you know? And I did that. And I just been going with the flow, man, you know? And it was crazy because I was super nervous about coming on tonight, because this is the first time, you know, I've been able to, that I've come on and done it by myself. In fact, I'm still, I'm not able to do the Instagram live because I tried to do it, but I didn't have time to go in there and put the stream key. Like, I usually always had someone doing that for me. Eventually maybe I'll get fast enough where I can get that done. But and like with my Facebook regular personal account, I wasn't able to go there and change it from private to public because you know, I didn't have time either. So it's just streaming to my YouTube and my Addict to Athlete Facebook, but I can always share it later. But it's like, you know, I was nervous about all that. And it was just one of those things where, you know, I was at the house getting everything ready, and I saw one of my boys walk in that used to live there too, Jason Carpenter. And, you know, in fact, he was the one that prayed for me when I would say I had my first like spiritual experience. Um, when I got back out, when I got out of prison, you know, I actually moved, you know, part of my, my parole, I do not have to live in a sober home. I chose to do that. And, you know, just for my own, I felt like that's where God wanted me to help get me back. So, you know, on my feet, and obviously it was the right decision. But when I did it, I didn't have approval from parole. You know, I had to tell them where I'm at, and they were like, well, you know, we got to get it approved with the state and all this. And it's, you know, then they call and say, oh, the house is not part of, you know, it's not approved by the state. You can't be there. And so I was flipping out. I was like, this is where I know this house is where God wants me. Right. You know, and I talked to Jason that day, and he was like, well, look, man, if that's what God wants, it's going to happen, you know? And I was like, bro, it's not that simple. He said, sure it is. He said, if this is his plan for you to be here, he's going to put the paperwork in the right hands to the right people and make it happen. Right. So we said a prayer right there. And I actually went to sleep that night, not concerned. I was like, you know, he's right. If God's got this, it's going to happen. And so I went to bed that night with, you know, no, I wasn't worried, none of that. And I woke up the next morning, and the house director called me, and he's like, dude, I don't know what happened between yesterday and today, but the lady just called me from the parole office and said, hey, you know what? We're going to get this to my supervisor, and we're going to have a staff meeting and see if we can get this approved. And, you know, my house director was just like, are you serious? Like, this is crazy. And then I told him about, you know, the prayer and what had happened. And then they called back an hour later and said, yeah, you can stay, you know? And so it was just like a spiritual experience for me. Like, hey, if you just let God do his thing, like, it'll happen if it's in the cards, you know? So when I pray for something, I don't say, you know, hey, you know, God, give me this. I ask God, I say, hey, if this is your will, I know it's going to happen. And that's how I've been saying my prayers. You know, if I pray for something for myself, it's like, hey, keep giving me the willingness, you know, to be, you know, to stay in the word. Give me the, you know, to stay in your word. Give me the willingness to keep doing what I'm doing in the gym. You know, it's nothing like more than that, though, you know, and it's mostly praying for other people and praying for God's will. And it's worked out for me like crazy. And so I can't thank Kurt enough for this opportunity. Also, with the Freedom and Fellowship of Outdoors, it's just getting started up, man. And you know, I'm going to be the social media director. I'm on the board, and I was invited also by Kurt to do that. And it's going to be a privilege to be able to help underprivileged kids, you know, and use the outdoors and nature. You know, it's just it's awesome, man. And I'm super excited to be a part of it. And that's another God thing too, you know. You know, just things are working out like that. and work's going great. As far as my training goes, like I've been doing like a cutting phase, trying to trim down to get that below that 10% body fat, and it's working, man. If I'm not there right now, I'm definitely really close. I haven't did a body fat index in about 3 weeks, and I can tell a difference just in the last 3 weeks by the way I've changed my diet and my training. And it's yeah, I'm super impressed right now. In fact, I'm losing a little too much. I think I'm going to start increasing my protein intake. Up to about 220 grams a day. Right now, I weigh about 158, which is the lowest I've been since prison. But like I said, I've been trimming really well, and I'm about down to where I want to be. So I maybe just like get down to about like 156, and then I'll start bulking with some muscle, and trying to put on some more muscle, lean muscle, obviously. So yeah, I've been working really hard at that. I can't go without the first form energy drink. It keeps me going, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, things have been going really, really well, and I want to keep it that way, And like I said, this show is it's a way of me giving hope to people who just don't think, that they think that, oh, this is my life, this is what I do, I can't figure this out, whether it's recovery or in the gym. I was that guy, and I was that guy that was doing this roller coaster ride, my entire life, when hurting people that I love, and people that I didn't, just anybody that crossed paths with me. And I don't want to live that way no more. And one thing I'm trying to do right now in my life is change every single aspect of it. Like, I will not tell a lie at all, not even if it's a small one. Dishonesty is one of the things that get me in trouble. And I don't know why, but like in the past, like if I'm internally got something going on, it's like the lies just come out, and I don't even want them to, and sometimes there's no even, I'm not gaining anything even from the dishonesty. It's like it just comes out like that. And so that's a huge part of what I'm trying to do in my life right now, is just be honest. And whether any kind of relationship, whether you're my friend or my mom, or my dad, or my daughter, my son, I'm trying to be strictly honest, 100%. And that's been a huge difference in my life. Like, even if it's something I don't want to say to somebody, like I'm trying not to skirt, around the situation, and it just makes it worse. And that's what's happened to me in the past. And so that is definitely key. And keeping God first, right? Like, that's obviously the most important for me, because if he's up there, everything else seems to fall in place. And so I've been trying to keep my focus on God, and like say, and not make any decisions on my own. Just basically be like, hey, what do you want me to do? Put it on my heart, and he will. It may not happen right away, but like, he definitely has been putting it on my heart. So I've just been kind of letting go and letting God, and it sounds so easy, but sometimes it is so difficult to do. And I'd be lying to you, like, if I didn't have thoughts of using drugs and alcohol. I mean, I'm an addict, and I may be recovered right now, and recovered from a hopeless state, in mind, but I still have thoughts, they're just not obsessions anymore. And when I do get a thought, it's like, hey, what's going on here? God, remove this thought from me right now. I know it's the enemy coming at me, because, and he tries to come at me in other ways too, man. He tried to throw me off my game, with all kinds of stuff, especially the podcast. Like, he doesn't want this thing to happen, right? Like, and he tried to stop it, I was straight up told that I was never going to be able to do this without my former management. And you know, hey man, look what God did. You know, so and that's another thing. I got so much ambition in my life, like to make something of myself because of all the things that I've done that I got to make up for it. And so I have this drive, this like burning fire inside of me that's just like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna get this done. And somebody can't tell me I can't do something. I'm gonna do it. Like, I don't know where that drive comes from, but it's there and it burns, and it's like I'm gonna do this, like, and I'm doing it the right way this time. Like, I'm not doing it with you know so-called how do I put this, I'm doing it with legal substances now. No longer am I trying to go back to prison ever again. Like I said, I'm trying to do this the right way, and it's so much more self gratifying when I know that I accomplished this, on my own and legally, and I'm not just talking about physically. I'm talking about emotionally and spiritually as well. Like, I'm doing this, man, and like it's a great feeling to be able to not need anybody's help anymore and like do this on my own. And I've seen the people that know me the most, like my family. When I hang out with them, they know, man. It's like my ex-wife. She knows me better than pretty much her and Misty probably know me better than anybody. When I'm doing something a certain way, they're like, yo, what's going on? And that's what I was telling you when I got home that day. Like, when I went back to Round Rock for my daughter's graduation, it was at night, and I was so happy and blessed that I was able to drive there, that my work let me take off to go do this. They know it's important. I got to see her promotion from 5th grade to 6th grade. And I was just super blessed the whole night I was there, man. Like, I got to see my son too, and that was a blessing in itself. My son's killing it over there, in San Marcos, man. And I know most of y'all saw that post. So I'm just sitting here, just blessed as can be with my family. And then I get home that night, and I've got a little fear, like, oh man, like, I don't want to lose this. And I had no thoughts of drinking or using. It was just like, man, why am I feeling this way? With all these good things going on, like, there's something not right, and my ex-wife kind of sensed it, and she's like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm good." And she's like, "No, I think, are you sure?" And I was like, "Look, everything couldn't be better. And I don't understand why I'm kind of feeling this way. Like, I feel a little fear going on right now. And I don't want to lose anything that I got, and I got a little emotional, and she explained to me, like, hey, look, like, you know what you need to do, and you just got to keep doing it, like, don't let up like you always have in the past, and and that's what's happened. I get complacent, and just like, I stop praying because everything's going good, and I've said this before, like, it's real easy for me to go to God when I'm hurting, and things are going bad, and I've lost everything, or I'm sitting in prison, but it's so difficult sometimes for me to keep that, when everything's going good. It's like, I got to keep in mind that God is the reason that I have all of this. And if I'm not thanking him every night, and not praying to him every day, multiple times a day, when I've got decisions to make, if that's what it takes for me to maintain this, then sign me up, And it's like, how come in the past I've got to let go of that, and sometimes it doesn't make sense to me, and so I just know that, I'm taking it. It's all about perspective. I'm taking it as a healthy fear. Like, let's just keep this. Let's just make it. feel like, oh yeah, well, I just can't let up and I got to keep doing what I'm doing and not have so much fear around it and pray about the fear, And so I've been doing that and it's been better, like, yeah, I got to spend the whole weekend in San Antonio with my daughter, and we kind of treated her to a weekend for like her doing so well in school this year. The teacher said, that she like jumped 2 grade levels in several different subjects, and she's been working really, really hard with a tutor. And I mean, she just killed it, A's and B's, man. Like, and we're super proud of her. So we took her for a weekend, a fun-filled weekend in San Antonio, and it was awesome, man. We had such a good time. We ate out like 3 times a day, and went to the aquarium, went to the trampoline park, and we did all kinds of stuff. And these are things that I wasn't able to do. Even when I had a good job and I was making money, like I was internally doing things selfishly, right? Like I wasn't doing things for my family like I should have been. And that's what happens when when you're wrapped up in addiction and self-centeredness, and it's just a place I don't want to be anymore, and I'm just doing everything I can to make sure. And a big part of that is spreading God's love and hope, to other people. And I figure when, I feel like when I do that, it definitely helps me hold me accountable also. And that's what I feel truly blessed about the podcast is it keeps me grounded, and it makes me it holds me accountable and makes me want to do things the right way, and practice what I preach basically. And it's really helped out. So I'm in the process of trying to help anybody I can help whenever they may need it. You can always hit me up on any of my social media links if you or any of your family members need treatment, or you don't know what to do or what the next step is. That's what we're here for. We have resources out here in the hill country, and you just need to hit one of us up, and we'll if I can't figure it out, I know someone that will. So that's what we got to do. And anyway, so yeah, I'm super excited about what's coming in the show. Like I said, I think the next episode I'm going to have is about discipline in the kitchen and how to stay focused with your diet and your training. And I'm going to bring that one. And then hopefully coming soon, I'll have the neon sign in the back behind me. Right now I got the first form flag, but I'm going to get that Addict to Athlete neon sign, should be coming in a few weeks as well. And then obviously the podcast chairs, and my next purchase is going to be the Sony FX camera. That was suggested by my son. Obviously he's the media guy for the for Texas State football team, and that's the camera he uses, and he said it's totally worth the money. And so yeah, I'm excited, and just to really appreciate everything God's done for me and my life, and the people he's put in my life as well to help me, stay focused. So yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on tonight. It all, like I said, it helps me stay sober, and my goal is to help other people, stay sober and help other people get motivated for whatever it may be, the gym, or they got something difficult in their life. Trust me, I've been there, and multiple times, and I fight back every single time, and so try to think about the wins, and not the losses. Try to think about how many times it takes, or how, the resilience it takes to come back each and every time, and face everything, and try to come back from it. And it's like, that's awesome that people that can come back like that, and that's what it's all about. And then when you come back, how to stay there, and how difficult it is for that as well, because of all the temptations in this world. There's a lot of them, and it's just been a real good blessing. So tonight, like I said, also what helps me is, staying in the now. Like if I start thinking too far ahead, I start future tripping, and like,
Why future trip if I fully trust 100% that God's got it worked out for me, So I got to quit future tripping. Got to keep trusting God and just knowing in my heart that what he's got for me is his plan, and that he's got it in control, and that's been helping me so much in my life. So I'm super, excited about what God's doing in my life, and I just got to keep doing it, So tonight also, try to think about the things you do have and not the things you don't, right? This is Addict to Athlete signing out in Kerrville. Till next time, see you next Thursday, 8:00. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Please share this with everybody. We will be on here at 8:00 p.m. next Thursday. All right. Peace.